What's going on? Welcome to Ales and Strange Tales. We are your hosts,
Chris Moyers
and Dan Stickney. This is a new podcast where we crack open a beer or two and share our listeners' tales and experiences of the supernatural, paranormal, and just plain weird. Plus, we'll feature local folklore, interviews, and our own stories and adventures. So sit back, pour yourself a drink, and dive into the strange with us.
Now, is there any other stories that you have at this place or anything else that you might have forgot?
To anymore, let's call her Anne. And the one friend I do talk to, let's call her Jessica. So Anne was sensitive like this, and she just said, hey, why don't we all come over to my apartment? Just because I just feel this presence in my apartment, just want to say whatever she said at that time. And Jessica's like, oh, blah, 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 I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then she finally said, well, it's your mom who just recently passed. So I'm like, okay, I've never done a seance before. I didn't really know what to expect. So we get to Anne's apartment. And so we sit down. It was Anne, Jessica, and a couple other people. And what we did first, you put a circle of salt around you because that helps protect.
It keeps the bad,
demons out.
Yeah, demons, bad vibes out. What?
Yeah. So, and then it was strange because she's like, you got to picture yourself naked because you got to make sure you're fully exposed to these.
That's a real thing, really?
Yep. So, because
Wow.
usually seances are done in the nude, but we're like, no, we're not doing that. So,
because you even seances with some, I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind.
Yeah. So, because you got to like to make yourself natural, you got to make yourself like exposed to these elements. So, and then she said some whatever blah 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 likeness, and so we just went in silence, and and so we just went in silence and we just waited. So my friend Anne at that time, she blacked out and she felt like she was drowning. She woke up.
Now, she blacked out because of the seance, or was she drinking?
No,
or?
we weren't drinking. We didn't do anything.
She was blacked out.
She just blacked out. Oh, also what we did before we put the circle of salt down, we just took those like mini like tea light candles, those white ones, unscented, and put around her apartment.
Okay.
So like I don't know, it just helped draw things in. So like when she blacked out, she was blacked out for a good 5 minutes, but she was describing being drowned. And then when she woke up, she's like, I just feel water in my mouth. It feels like salt water. And like she was like, as she was blacked out, she was describing what was happening to her. I don't remember that much of that one. But also in her apartment was a little bit haunted by a little girl who actually made herself known when we're doing the seance. She knocked on the door, and she tried to enter the circle. We didn't allow her because she was mean.
Were the like flames moving or anything? Did you?
Yes. So, I just felt really uneasy with her around. I don't know why. It just felt like it felt like a demon child. It really did. And so, like, I just shouted out, stop it, stop it, stop it. Then all of a sudden, the one candle behind me bursted in flame as it could have burned down her wall.
No shit.
So, I mean, I felt it on the back of my neck, but everybody else saw it happen. And so, like, after that, we just kind of took a pause and a breather because we just didn't know what to expect after that.
Can I interject here? So,
Yeah, go ahead.
your friend blacked out, and then she's getting like visions or something from someone else. It's
Correct.
not her past recognitions or something.
She was just getting something.
It's something from someone.
Maybe the little girl that was in her apartment drowned. So then finally, once again, it was me who detected this. Okay, you're going to think like this is from the previous story of Granny, but
Lavender
and lilacs happened because Jessica's mom loved that scent as well. So I'm just sitting there and like, why does it smell like lilacs
You're
now?
wafting the scent in. You're
Right,
noticing
and
it.
then Jessica who was to my left, started bawling her eyes out.
Whoa, really?
And she's like, "That's Mom." And I'm like, "Oh.
I had
And I
no
said,
fucking idea.
this
What
thing's
the fuck?
actually working." So,
Something's getting fucking fed into
so
us.
we allowed her to enter the circle. So, and then when she did, Jessica stopped crying, and she was just in just like a moment of silence and comfort, and she felt her mom touch her.
So she felt it come into the circle. Wow. And it soothed her.
And
That's
it soothed her,
crazy.
and her mom just said goodbye. I'm sorry that this happened this early in life for you. And that's how she felt.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm having,
Like,
I have like some chills right now rethinking this.
His hair's up, too.
He literally has goosebumps. I'm looking at his arm.
So-
That's fucking crazy.
I know, it's crazy. So after that, we decided to end it and just let everything go. We close, because when you do it, you have to open up your mind, but you have to clear your mind because you don't know what, if a demon would come and just like sense your fears and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a good ending point right there.
Yeah, so it was a good ending point. So we like closed our minds, ended everything, and just we got up. And so I think there's like 5 of us. So when you're sitting, your hands are behind you, your fingers are pointing towards your back. When we got up and looked at the salt, we saw footprints trying to enter. We saw handprints surrounding the
really?
whole
You
fucking.
actually saw movement.
We didn't see
Not
movement. It was
but you
imprints.
saw shit that moved, the sand or the salt or whatever he had.
I'll get to that. So we saw imprints of hands around the entire thing. So we're assuming
fucked.
that was the little girl. But there's
That's strange as fuck.
But there's
man.
a footprint that was unidentified because it was a bigger size footprint. So we didn't know what happened there. But behind Jessica, the whole salt was slid to her
Oh my.
when
Lord.
where her mom entered.
Okay.
So that was like, if we had that shit recorded, that would have been great evidence. But we were just dumb and stupid at the time. So yeah, that entire salt slid like towards her, like ended at her back. Like, so we ended it at that. So like that was the first time I've ever done that, and so like that really like opened my mind up to stuff.
That's
more.
pretty wild stuff, man.
I mean, I do have another tale of a cemetery I went to.
What cemetery exactly? If you want to say.
It didn't really have a title. It was in Pingree Grove.
Pingree Grove. Where the hell is that?
Route 47 and 20.
Is that north?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't talk to these people anymore either. So, so we're drinking at the time, and so like we decided like, hey, there's a cemetery behind the biker bar that's literally right around the corner. So, we decided to walk down. I had my phone out and I had the recording on, and we get to the cemetery, and when I approached it, I told him, I'm feeling a little uneasy.
Yeah,
and
as I would be too. Just
but
being there.
He didn't, so he just went up to the gate and the fence, and on the recording after we did a lot. So like we would just go up to the fence, and I'm just like, something's not right about this. And then like he wanted to go inside and open the gate. I'm like, I mean, it's 2:00 in the morning. He probably shouldn't. And it's just like, I just felt sick. I wanted to throw up because it was something heavy there that
It hit you that strongly.
It hit me that strongly.
Wow.
And it was something there that didn't want us there. So we walked back, got to his computer. He uploaded everything on his computer. And so I don't have it anymore because I don't fucking talk to them anymore.
Well, they ain't helping us.
I know.
Okay.
So when we played back, and when I first said I feel uneasy, we heard the fence shake. We weren't at the fence yet. And then when we got to the fence, I'm like, when I said something else, and we heard a child laugh.
Oh God.
And then we got to the gate, And I'm like, we're at the gate, and he's like, let's go in. I'm like, no, something doesn't want us in there.
Yeah.
And something said, get out.
Oh, geez.
Legitly right by my ear. And it was a man's voice, a deep man's voice, but then you also heard the child laughing in the background.
I would start running like
so,
a scared
all
ass
that
motherfucker.
was recorded, but we didn't hear it with our own ears.
So you had a whisper of a man in your ear, right
like
outside.
how you're talking to me right now, it was clear as day on the recording.
I just want to say this coincides with my future story for my brother in Germany from his wife's father's house. Just a man whispering in his. I think it's a man. I forget what he says, but just whispering in his ear when he's sleeping. So that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Now it's north on 47. Is it near Woodstock or Cary?
It's
do you remember?
before all that, so
But it's going that way because that's where my cousin's stories take place that we did in our first couple episodes.
It was right on the it's on the intersection of Route 47, 20, and I think it kind of splits. Like if you take,
I know 47 splits before you hit like Lake Geneva, but I don't know.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's way too far.
Before that,
yeah,
then, right?
so like if you just take 47 north until you hit like the intersection of 40 and 20. 47 and 20.
Yeah, I'm not too accustomed to that, but it's going up that way.
Yeah.
So that's like right where all my cousins live with all their fucking stories.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that whole place is gonna give you a whole haunted feeling, but you got it.
I got
it.
I got it. So yeah, that was another screwed up time. I'm trying to think of anything else. So we were still living in Elburn at the time, maybe. But anyway, I can keep going with stories.
We can go back to Elburn stories.
Well, no,
if you
I mean
want.
it wasn't at the house. So like,
But when you lived there,
when I lived there, so
this was back when, like 2008 or something.
I've been at my condo for 5 years. I was at my friend's for a year. We've been at the house for 5 years before that. So let's say 12 years ago.
12 years
Maybe,
ago. Okay.
give or take.
2009.
Sure.
Let's say that.
Sure. So I met some friends at IHOP, and the one in St. Charles by the mall. And
Good old IHOP.
I know. You know, when we can sit there and just play cards and then it kick you out. So we were talking about like our ghost experiences too, and the waitress overheard us, and she's like, I don't believe in that, blah, blah, blah. And so like this was a time where I'm like, I kind of practice like readings and stuff like that. And so I'm like, how about this? I will tell you something of your family that haunts you, and I get my meal for free. And she's like, fine.
That's interesting.
She's like, fine.
Please tell.
And so like I just sat there and paused and kind of just like, you know, felt her aura and stuff like that, and just like a vibe that I got off her. And so I said to her, like, you had someone who recently passed probably within the last 6 months, and it was wintertime, but you weren't in the hospital. It was your mom that was in the hospital to like let her go. So I'm going to say it was your grandma. She was like, okay.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Did you feel this, or were you just guessing?
I felt a little bit of it. Like it was just like kind of the story was coming from her.
So
to
you
me.
actually felt it come to you,
Right,
Okay, so
right.
Okay, I
Right.
get you.
So, and I'm just like, so when I said, I'm like, it was your grandma. She's like, okay, that's fine. Wild guess, but keep going. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so your grandma left you something. It was very important to her, and it was a necklace. And she doesn't like where you have it in your bedroom. And I'm like, she's like, okay, so where's it in my bedroom?
She's enticed by.
She's enticed because, yeah. So I'm like, it's in a box in your closet, and she doesn't want it there anymore because sometimes she likes it exposed, so you know that she's there. She's like, she was kind of getting like hesitant. She didn't want me to finish, but I was going to anyway. I want my free meal. So
yeah, exactly.
so I'm like, the necklace had a shape to it. It was some kind of shape. It had like a K. It was, what was a K to you? She's like, she worked at Kmart for 50 years. That was her retirement gift.
Something. Well, right, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Shit is insane.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, that necklace that she wants you to take out of that box in the closet that has a key in it. She wants you to put it on your dresser so she knows that you love her still and it's there for you to look at. So please do that.
And then she agrees with all this. She says,
agreed, and I got my meal for free. So,
but no. I'm so curious. So this came to you.
It just came to me.
And then how does it come to you? Is this in your mind and
it
you just say these things?
I mean,
it comes out of your mouth from something else? Or?
I mean, you just don't know. Like, this is the one thing in life that you just can't explain. It just,
because I've never had that. So I'm just so curious. Like, how did it get into your mouth to say it? I just have no idea.
It was just the sensitivity that I had towards her. Like, something was there following her, and until that moment where she probably moved that necklace out of her box, maybe that's what she needed for her grandma.
But the way it hits you, like,
I don't know.
I'm so curious on how it hits. It just fills your head.
It just fills my head. It's just one of those gut feelings that you have,
and it just comes out. You just say it.
I just spew it out.
Wow, that's the only way it could happen. I'm assuming,
right? But I just
never experienced anything like that. Ever.
You just can't figure this shit out. Like, it's so unexplained. Like, I can just sense it. Like, I haven't practiced it in a long time.
Yeah, it's just there. It's just like you thinking about like the answer to a math equation. Like, 2 times 4. It's 8.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like that.
I mean, I can do this better than math, so
I could probably do it better in math too, and I don't even know how to fucking do what you do. I'm not very good at math.
So it's just, I mean, that was just one example of me reading somebody, but it's just. Oh, okay. So, like, that was just the one example. Like, I'm trying to think of another thing. So, like, out another party. This time I was a little intoxicated. Sometimes things happen when I'm drinking.
When you're more, sensitive.
More sensitive.
Yeah.
Like,
senses are open.
Yeah. So, another person who just, I don't believe in this shit. And just to say he was a jock on, football team, blah, blah, blah. High and mighty personality.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I just sat down with the person and I told him 2 people. First, it was a story of his aunt. And sometimes he sleeps with his TV on. And I'm like, your TV will turn off randomly at night, but then you turn it back on. And your light will turn off randomly at night, but you turn it back on. Your aunt, who you lived with, and I didn't know this person, always came into the bedroom to turn your lights off because you were wasting her electricity.
Yeah, right. It's nighttime.
It's nighttime. You shouldn't have your lights on. You shouldn't be doing this. I need this off because you live under my house, my rules. Don't do this. And so, like, in her death, she was still turning off his lights and all that stuff. And so he's like, okay, that was just a wild guess. I'm like, all right, let's try something else. So I just sat there and kind of read him again, just kind of felt his vibe. And I'm like, well, the actual person who's following you is an older gentleman who died of a heart attack in the middle of winter before Christmas. And he's like, just kind of have that pause where he's about to cry. And geez. I'm like, it was your grandfather, right? He's like, I'm like, he's saying something to me now. He's saying a nickname. Oh, shit. And so I'm just going to say you're just his baby boy. And that's when he started crying.
Oh, wow.
So
that's something crazy.
It was so crazy. And he would not leave the couch. He would not do anything else. He's like, how the fuck did you know? I'm like, this is the first time I met you, buddy. So I'm like just me saying baby boy just like triggered his emotions because he just didn't want his grandfather to leave. I'm like, your grandfather will follow you completely, but you just need to understand that he's gone, which he didn't get over.
I'm just so interested in someone to read me.
I mean, I can.
If you're sensitive to it, dude. Especially for the podcast, if we want to be selfish, you want to get back into it. I don't know.
I know.
Does it drain you at all when you do this type of thing? Like,
I mean, it does.
Or?
It doesn't drain me out of energy. It just, actually, it drains me emotionally. Because sometimes when I used to do it, it was just like, oh my god, like, why am I detecting the stuff that I just don't want to feel? When did that cut happen to my finger? I don't know, but And so it's just like
Is it like it drains you like a hangover? Like, oh god, I just feel stale. I don't feel like doing anything.
numb.
I just want to lay
I feel
in bed.
numb.
Okay.
Like if I have a good smoke.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just
Like when I'm hungover, I do acid or something. And the next day, I deplete all my serotonin or something, and I just feel nothing. I just lay there, and I have no emotion. I was like, oh, and having no emotion is a very weird feeling.
I mean,
when
yeah.
you're so hungover or so recovering from drugs, like I have no feeling, and that's one of the weirdest feelings you can ever have.
Exactly.
Just nothing. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's the only time I get that. I don't know if you get that from the readings or
I just
what.
feel numb afterwards because it's like I don't know. I just can't. I really don't know anymore. It's just been a while since I've done it.
You should get back into it, and then
Well, let's walk to the cemetery down the street.
we totally could, but it's damn cold out there to be walking.
Well, the Breckenridge beer warmed my soul, so
Yeah.
It is a Christmas ale, so that's why it's there, man. So warm the soul.
I gotta. Shit. Well, talking about the cemetery just reminded me of a Squire story. You were there, Chris. Oh, you know what? We probably shouldn't even say anything about this.
You know what? We should double check with Mark and then save it for our next podcast.
Hitting golf balls in a cemetery might piss some people off. Mark was hitting golf balls. Mark playing sports.
that's shocking.
Funny in itself.
And it landed right by the gravestone that said Squire.
It hit his grandparents' gravestone. It's right on the road that you can drive in and out of. And there's a nick on the goddamn fucking gravestone. I don't know if it's still there. Maybe the rain washed the
From
whiteness
the golf
away.
ball?
But the golf ball hit it, and it left a little like whiteness on there. I think that's what he said. I gotta run it by Mark again. But I drive every time I drive through the cemetery. I like driving through the cemetery. It's right by my house. Drive through it. I stop by there. I look at it. Not every time, but I have, and it's there. And he did hit it because the golf ball was right there, and there was a little bit of white from the golf ball or something. I forget what signified that it happened, but Mark saw that it happened, so maybe he might be a little sensitive, like Dan's brother Pat here. But you know what? I don't
He's
think
a
so
goofy
either
child.
because
I don't think he's that sensitive.
he's never. Other than that, he's never expressed any sensitivity to anything
To the paranormal.
paranormal whatsoever. So I talk to him like every other day because we're in a band together, and then he's as unsensitive to this shit as me. And
See, like
Dan
I
and
just
Nick
want to go
are.
to like a good haunted place and just to see if I can still do it.
So do I. Like I just want to experience something.
Well, maybe that's our should be.
I
want to
go to like
vacation.
a haunted fucking hotel. Let's go to. I know Dad and fucking Tiff probably. I don't think Meg wants to even go to a haunted. My wife will be on the show. She's been to a haunted hotel and she has stories about that. She's very sensitive too. But
yeah, her and I were sensitive.
I want to experience something.
can we bring you, since you're sensitive to this, to the hotel
Sure.
in Chicago that we want to
Sure.
do
I don't care. That's fine.
a little the Continental, not the kind of
the Congress Hotel.
Congress.
One of the most haunted.
It's one of the most haunted in Chicago. Me and Dan, we're gonna do a sleepover there for another what do you call it again now? Investigation. That's not what I was looking for, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then if you're sensitive to it,
I just
maybe you
need-
can come with us.
I mean, I need to know like a month in advance.
Oh yeah,
Take the day
we
off.
all need a bunch of it. So maybe January. Yeah, maybe January we'll do the Congress Hotel in
Okay.
Chicago. Me, Dan, and Dan's brother Patrick. And are you done with? Do you have any other experiences? Because we are about hitting an hour, man. You knocked it out of the park tonight.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I'm
Hell yeah.
trying to do. Like trying to think, but yeah, it's just like I would gladly go to a haunted place and just go and see if I can sense things. I'll bring the Ouija board.
Hell yeah, I will
I'll
bring the Ouija.
I mean, if you have that detector thing, so we'll see when I say I feel uneasy if it goes beep 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 or
Pat
whatever.
did a little finger thing like it doesn't work, and I agree. I don't think it works either. It's just radio. It's just quickly seeking, going through radio frequencies. I don't think it's real. I bought it to make sure that I know it's not real, but we're gonna bring Pat with. Maybe it might ring something up. And then they say, and when you do use the spirit box, if you don't hear it in your own ears, maybe record it, and then it might go in the recording.
Right. So
Because they say that even with your own ears, you won't hear it. So
Right.
It goes with. It
So like
coincides with the
that's
spirit
what happened
box.
when I was at the cemetery. We didn't hear it with our own ears. We heard it after the recording. So we have to
Exactly.
use our phones or whatnot and just do a little, make sure our phones are fully charged because
Yeah.
they might just suck the battery out. So,
And then Dan's got a recorder. I got a couple of recorders. We got our cell phones too to record.
and then if we have something that like shoots infrared, sometimes things can be captured. Then
I almost bought one for like $400. I'm still
Jesus, that's too much money.
teetering, but it's like a night vision infrared thing, I think. And then
There should be a filter in your
that'd be
phone.
awesome too. Just for camping. If you're camping, you got fucking night vision. It's not like a camera. It's like a one eye
Oh, okay.
type of telescope-y thing that doesn't like telescope. It's just like a night vision with one eye type thing. That might be incorporated into our ghost busting repertoire. We don't know.
Okay.
But we have the spirit box, we have a digital recorder, and we have Pat,
Sensitivity.
a sensitivity guy. And I think that's all we need. Dan, what do you think?
Well, he's our chip coffee, right?
Yeah. All right.
We do have advertisers, but some of them were kind of wary about having a guest on here, so we'll do the advertiser next week. They're a little apprehensive about Pat, but they shouldn't be. And but we'll get the advertisers back next week. Anyway, that was a
That's
great
stupid.
show. Thank you very much, Pat, for joining us
Oh, you're
and
welcome.
sharing your stories with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan, for being related to him, so we have access to him, and I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Yeah, thanks, Pat, for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. So,
And thanks, everyone, for listening. Cheers.
cheers.
And cheers.